For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. French Catholics took to the streets violently protesting against a new bioethics law today. Tuesday, the French Senate will debate the proposal, which would fund medically assisted procreation for lesbian couples and single women, as well as allowing for the creation of human-animal hybrids for medical purposes. The National Assembly initially passed the law in October 2019, but the Senate will only begin consideration this week. French bishops are urging prayer and fasting to stop the legislation. Archbishop Michel Aupetit, who practiced medicine and taught bioethics at a medical school before entering the priesthood, raised concerns about human embryos being trivialized and discarded like vulgar, consumable products. Polish media are covering a charity that collects money from people on the street as well as large companies, around 5% of which goes to the accounts of a private foundation. This year, there is a new twist. The charity foundation supported pro-choice street protests while collecting money for ill children.
Due
to pandemic restrictions, the 29th Great Orchestra of Christmas charity event is being held in a limited form. Most of the events are online or broadcast on a commercial TV station. Despite this, plenty of volunteers went out on the streets of many Polish cities, including Warsaw. Some of them, apart from displaying a red heart, the orchestra's trademark, wore masks with the symbol of a red lightning bolt, the same logo of pro-choice groups which have been demonstrating for unrestricted access to abortion. The leader of this movement, Marta Lempart, called on her followers to refrain from demonstrating as a show of support for today's collection efforts. We asked volunteers what they thought about the cooperation between Marta Lempart and Jerzy Owsiak. It's not my call to judge. It's hard to tell. I believe that it's very good. Women should support each other. I think it's good. I was at the protests with my mom. I also have a badge here on my backpack, so I have no problem with that. As the activists announced, the break from protests extends only through this weekend, suggesting that protesters will take to the streets again on Monday. Though charity activities can expect publicity in the media, at least 54 Catholic hospices work in Poland without any advertising. A pediatric hospice posted on Facebook asking for financial help, but administrators blocked the post for social reasons. The actions of Facebook show that freedom of speech might be an illusion. Social networks are removing content that they consider inconvenient. Recently, it happened to Filip Buczynski, a Franciscan monk who runs a children's hospice in Lublin. Facebook also blocked the promotion of an historical film published by the Łódź branch of the Institute of National Remembrance, considering it to be political content. The material concerns a labor camp for children run by the Germans in Łódź during the Second World War. Many people who run public Facebook profiles complain of censorship. I had my editorial Facebook profile deleted twice with all the content. Well, what didn't you like there? They didn't really like the photos, not the content of the post or the entry, but what was seen in these photos, which were photos taken on the March for Life and Family. And the second time, Facebook deleted my entire editorial account for a photo gallery from the farmers' protest at the provincial government offices in Białystok. Censorship is often dictated solely by the interests of the owners of big tech. At the moment, there are literally a few multinationals which control the flow of all information channels and believe that they do not have to comply with the national laws of the countries in which they operate. An example of such colonization is Poland, where Google, Facebook, or Twitter do whatever they want, completely ignoring Polish law. The response to censorship on the internet is the albikla.com social network, established on January 20th. The main task of the portal is to maintain freedom of speech on the internet. The system in which you could conduct free debate is closing, and something has to be done about it. Our viewers cannot post freely on other social media because they are being censored for their views. The creators of Albikla emphasize that, despite adversities and repressive measures, they will develop the portal. The late Cardinal Stefan Wyszyński is one of the patrons of the year 2021. In 1950, communists jailed him to scare Polish Catholics. In 1960, he organized a countrywide celebration of the 1000th anniversary of the Christianization of Poland. The Catholic Church considers him blessed, although a celebration originally scheduled for last June had to be postponed due to the pandemic. Meanwhile, the Catholic University of Lublin organized a conference commemorating the devotion of Cardinal Wyszynski to the pro-life cause.
Now such a beatification of him is needed in each of our hearts.
A conference was held at the Catholic University of Lublin on Cardinal Stefan Wyszynski's teachings in anticipation of his beatification. The meeting addressed child protection and youth education, among other topics. The message of Cardinal Stefan Wyszynski is totally up to date. In some areas, it is even more relevant now than it was then. His message regards the search for truth at universities. Jakub Białowiczor, a columnist for Gość Niedzielny, emphasizes the importance of the Cardinal's legacy. Today we will draw the line. Today we will defend our values. Why did the Cardinal defend the life of unborn children in such a way? Because he believed that from conception, it is a human. He was simply a priest for us on a daily basis, which is why this dimension of family life was very close to him. According to the Ministry of Health, the number of new coronavirus infections in Poland has stabilized over the past few days. During the last 24 hours, 4,706 new infections were detected. 98 people died, of which 27 were due to COVID itself, with the other 71 due to complicating factors. The largest increase occurred in the Lubelskie, Małopolskie, and Łódzkie provinces. Over 32,000 tests were administered. The number of people vaccinated reached 1,156,000. For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. Good night.